Hey everyone, welcome back to this video. So I want to use this video to clarify a couple of the confusing points about the organization of the class material. Certainly, a few students emailed to me and expressed that some of the class material is perhaps not clear. And certainly, I think these are great questions. Certainly, in the beginning, I kind of kept it vague on purpose by design. So hopefully in this video, I can explain a little bit how this class is structured and what are some of the procedures that you can go about, for example, watching videos, submitting a homework, when to do X, Y, Z, something like that. More like a logistic setup or configurations of the class, if you will. So this video will focus on that. And the next video, we're going to come back to the course material and continue from there. So with that being said, first things first, it's the GitHub repository. This is a link of GitHub repository. And for those of you who don't know, github.com, this is the URL I'm looking at, github.com. The github.com is a website that actually owned by Microsoft. It's essentially a repository. Basically, it's a code base, right? It's a code base for different repository, and each repository, it's an open source platform for you to manage your project. Now, open source is the default version. It's what it's promoting. You don't have to make it public if you don't want to, right? In the scope of this class, and for the sake of homework submissions, we typically ask for public repository just because you don't have to add me as a personnel. I don't have to add you as a personnel of our own account. You just share a URL and I'm able to see what you're talking about, right? For example, this is the repository, right? Yiqiao-in, that's my account. And then the repository is PageU CS676, right? So this URL I'm looking at right now, this is called a GitHub repository, right? A GitHub URL. So if you click in here, there are a bunch of folders, there are a bunch of files, and that's how the audience are people on the internet, they can see what you're doing in your own repository, like in your own folder here. So that's the setup, in case you don't know. Then this is how this website is designed to do. And then to submit a homework, you can just grab one of your notebooks, just like what I'm doing right now. You can go to different folder if you want to. Deliverable one of project one, you can put that in a folder. You can put project one in a folder. Uh, you can order however you want. There's really no constraint. Everybody has their own uh, framework. Everybody has their own style of organizing folders. As long as it's clear, then you're good to go. For example, let me continue clicking there. You can have this file called IPython notebook, right? .ipynb. This file format is essentially referring to the Python notebook that you will be using. Like, for example, you can type in code, and once you run it, it will render the result of the code, things like that. It is exactly similar as in my previous video. I use Colab. It's exactly same thing, right? So for simplicity, I can just search Colab, and then the first link pop out. That's kind of it, right? It doesn't need to be more fancier than that. I can type in print hello world. This is my Python environment, right? And then I can do my math. I can build neural network and do all sorts of fancy things, build linear regression model, print out the statistical result. I can do all sorts of fancy things using Python here, right? And then once I'm done with all my code, whatever model I'm building, whatever training I'm doing, right? Whatever results I'm printing, right? Print results. It can be whatever, right? X, Y, Z, right? Whatever things you're doing here, all you gotta do in the end, just download it as an IPYNB format. Then you are good to go, right? You can download that locally, and it will be a .ipynb file. And then you can then go to your repository and add file and just upload that file to this folder, right? However, you want to organize, totally fine. But that's essentially how you add a Python notebook with your Python code inside to the GitHub repository. So this way, now this is an open link now. You just click on this, and I can take this URL. I can then submit it to the form. So once you get to here, you're good to go, right? The code is here. Maybe you run a couple of results, things like that. You can take this URL, and all you gotta do is go to the main page, and then let me find the form. So the link of the form should be here. And then this is the link that I explained in the previous video about the session submission at the end of each session, right? And then in this form, you can then add in that URL. So once this is ready, scroll down, you see this GitHub URL. All you gotta do is put it there, and that's it, right? Then I know that you have this GitHub account, and you put your Python notebook in there, and that's good to go, right? Or if you want to use the same repository, notice that if you get rid of this, this repository, it's the same URL. If you put all your notebook under subfolders in that repository. So that's what I meant by just using one URL. And then every time you just submit this, and every time this link will be the same. So it saves a lot of problem for you, right? And then you can just take the same link from your notes and put it here, and you're good to go. And I can go onto the GitHub repository. It's a public website, right? I can go on there. I can say, okay, you wrote this Python notebook. You have the code here. Then that proves to me that you went through the problem of creating the code. You thought about the problem, and here's your solution. And I can solve the code that you did X, Y, Z, and that's how you did it. So this provides an open source framework to showcase what you've done, and then I can also access it pretty freely. Same goes with interviewers, same goes with all the future audience that you will be interacting. If they're interested to see what kind of code, what kind of product you are able to come up with. So that's the framework here. Regarding GitHub, regarding how do you make submission, what's the URL you're submitting, things like that. So I think another question that come up is how often this needs to be submitted. So here I have a session number. A session number I set here to use integer. Integer means 1, 2, 3, 4, right? There's no 2.5, right? That's not an integer, right? There's no 3.7. That's not an integer, right? Integer means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's enforced, right? Like this is a requirement. You have to use integer. And this number of the session refers to the video session on YouTube, right? So for example, you go to the playlist, and on this playlist, you see these videos linked. And from the beginning, we have session 1, that's from last semester, session 2 from last semester, so on and so forth. And this semester, we have session 1A, session 1B, things like that. So let me explain a couple of things. Ideally, if you ask me what's the best approach, I would say watch the video according to per session, because per session wise, the videos are created within the same tonality, within the same topic, and they're meant to be complement of each other. So, for example, if you look at the GitHub repository and you look at the class schedule, session 2, it's the basics. Session 3, we talk about linear regression. And the next session, we talk about classification. I think if you go through the video according to that order, it will more likely follow this order. I don't think I've jumped around ever. I think pretty much 1, 2, 3 follows this kind of order. I think 3 probably cover a little bit of a classification, and maybe there's a few sessions faster, a few sessions slower, but overall, it pretty much covers these topics according to the order that's being listed out here. Now, that being said, the default recommendation, when I say default recommendation, I'm just referring to the norm. Like the normal situation is per session is per week. So what that means is like per week, you watch all the videos in that session, right? Whatever part A, B, C there is, whatever previous semester, whatever this semester, all the videos in that one session to hopefully give you the holistic point of view of what that session is, because these videos are created for that purpose. Now, let's take a step back. This is the online asynchronous class based on a school policy. What that means is students watch the video according to their own schedule, which means I actually cannot enforce you have to watch a video on Wednesday or you have to watch the video part B, C, D on Thursday. I actually cannot enforce everyone to do that at the class level because this is an online asynchronous class. Now, that being said, the question now becomes, are the videos required for you to do the homework submissions? The short answer is no. The long answer is certainly it's helpful, right? Certainly it's helpful. For example, the order here is introduction, linear regression, classification, right? Sampling and boosting, right? If you want to use linear regression in your first deliverable of first project, certainly, sure, that will be very helpful. Some students have already done it, right? But as I laid out in previous video, the first project is meant to be an open, it's essentially an open-ended project, right? There's no requirement you have to use linear regression model, right? Why? Let's take a look at the first project. So let's go to the first project. Let me go to the right branch first. Bear with me for just one sec. So 2025 fall. Let's go to docs. Let's go to capstone project. This is the first project here, right? So let me click on the link. This is the first project here. So previous video, we dive into the hint, the problem statement of this first project. So hopefully everyone already know what's going on. And then obviously, some of you already submitted, perfectly fine. If you need some more time, just let me know. I'm pretty lenient in terms of deadline, things like that. If you need more time, just email me. We'll work something out, right? So don't freak out. I rather you guys learn something useful. I rather you guys take something away from this class than freaking out about homework or grades, that sort of thing. So yeah, point being, that's the project, right? We all know what the project is looking for. Now, are you going to use linear regression to go about what you're looking for in the answer? That's totally up to you, right? As I laid out in the hints down here, the approaches, right? It can be machine learning. I didn't say you have to use this way. I said this is one of the approach. You are able to use machine learning to come up with a framework, right? Linear regression. Linear regression requires features. Features can be created from whatever fancy package you want to do, right? Tokenizer, packages such as TF-IDF, right? Term frequency, things like that. Totally fine. That will take sentences and convert sentences into vectors. And then you take the vectors, you can then build your linear regression model. And that can be machine learning based approach. No problem, totally fair, completely valid approach, right? You don't have to use this approach. You can use rule-based, right? We talked about rule-based before. It based on domain knowledge. Some students use keywords, certain like .gov, maybe that means it's a more credited websites. .edu, that's more credited websites, more credible resources, right? If it's just someone's blog, maybe those resources are less credible, less maybe lower stars, things like that. That is a rule-based approach. Both ways work, right? Both ways work, just depending on how you want to go about it. So that is a long answer to answer some of the questions students have. Do you have to watch videos to answer and submit the homework deliverables? The short answer is no, right? And I kind of designed the class that way because I don't want when you become a data scientist, you're solving real world problems. I don't want you to limit yourself by what the textbooks provide. If you're able to read a textbook, watch videos, and learn the machine learning techniques, great. Certainly kudos to that, right? But I designed the project in a way that you don't have to. Meaning, if you're able to just be a really good at Googling things and you're able to find things online, find things on ChatGPT, right? We talk about ChatGPT, we talk about AI tools. You're welcome to do that. As a matter of fact, you're encouraged to do that. Um, if you're able to, come up with a solution just by purely Googling things, fine, totally fair game, right? That's your prerogative. That's your advantage. You figure things out without reading a book, right? You should be allowed to do that. I would consider that advantage, right? So in other words, um, are you able to just look at this assignment and start answering some of these questions without going through these videos? Theoretically, the short answer is actually yes. Does that make sense? Because when I designed this assignments here, machine learning, okay, that's fine. That's one approach. And you either know linear regression or you're not, right? If you know linear regression, then you can just directly use it. If you don't know linear regression, but you want to learn and you want to use linear regression for the first homework, that's totally fine. You can watch my video. But then that being said, I did not invent linear regression, right? Linear regression is a common knowledge out there in the world. You are very welcome to Google linear regression. You're very welcome to use ChatGPT to figure this out. And certainly, I don't want to limit students to do that. If someone is able to just pick up a topic from using ChatGPT and magically learn everything about linear regression, I consider that advantage, right? So that's why I don't want to impose a strict deadline on, oh, Wednesday you should watch video 2B, Thursday you should watch video 3C or whatever. There's no strict deadline on that. Um, so hopefully that kind of explains a little bit of a confusion when it comes to the materials and the contents. Now, that being said, if you're the kind of students that rely on formality a little bit and you kind of prefer the structure teaching style, uh, other than a complete open-ended, because the current setup is very open-ended, because every student have their own background. I don't want to presume you have working experience, right? I don't want to presume you have coding experience. So I kind of leave it very open-ended. But if you're a kind of student that prefers structure, I would say you probably want to come back to uh, this order, and then you kind of just want to go by this order and video by video. And when I say video by video, I meant per session, right? And then apologize upfront. I have to call a session. In the past, I called a week, and students freak out because some students they watch couple of weeks of video in one go. Some students they watch one video per week. Um, Usually in the in-person classroom setting, sure, I can kind of tell you what to do. We don't have a problem. Everybody's aligned with the order of how to do things. But this is an online async class, right? I cannot force students to do things in certain order because it's an online async class, right? You are supposed to watch the video according to your own schedule, and I don't have your schedule, right? That's what online async mean. So that's why I changed the week to session. Does that make sense? So session here just referring to every topic. Normally, you can kind of think about that as a per week. It's just right now because the nature of this class is online async. I can't call it a week, right? I have to call it a session. So, so that's the terminology. But if it makes it easier for you, feel free to call that a week, right? I have no problem calling that if that's okay with you guys. So you can think about it as a week. If you prefer a little bit of a formality, then this kind of presumably assumes that you're going the order by week one, week two, week three, so on and so forth. And certainly, when I post videos, I'm going by weekly basis because in my head, that's just easier to track everything, right? Um, so that's the terminology here in terms of the framework. In terms of textbook, I think these two textbooks are perfectly well written. Second one, I did it myself. First one is by Stanford professor. The link is here. You don't have to buy this book. I think there are free versions online. There's a version with Python. There's a version with R. But essentially, other stuff is here. You can click in any one of them, right? For example, Python. I believe there's a HTML page here that's about the content of this class. And then how I operate this class, it's completely basically just identical to the book, right? So you can download this. you open up a PDF, and the PDF look like this, and then you're good to go, right? If you prefer formality, if you prefer a book, textbook, homework, and that sort of stuff, certainly I will recommend you to go through this book. And that's kind of like how I organize this class as well, which is to follow the formality of this book. And even some of the materials are taken directly from this book because this book is supposed to design for entry level data scientists, machine learning folks like that. So that's if you want the formality, but certainly you don't have to. And then I think last but not least, people ask for deadline. These are the deadline here, right? For example, you're supposed to finish the first one already, deliverable one. It's a Python function, right? I have a previous video explained one of the solution from your classmates, and you can kind of use that framework if you need a bit more framework. But certainly you're welcome to come up with your own solution. And I actually encourage you guys to all come up with your own solution. And if you want to have late submission, totally fine. I don't take points off that, anything like that. If you want to do the deliverable 1 and 2 all together, totally fine, no problem there. If you want to do all three together, totally fine, no problem there. I'm pretty open to whatever formality that you guys want. I'm pretty lenient on grades. I just want you guys to learn something, right? It's that simple, right? And that means open-ended, right? Open-ended, open source, give you guys all the tools, and I just want you guys to learn. Um, and then on top of that, I think this week we should have a good understanding of linear regression. Hopefully, we're gonna finish logistic regression or classification. So this way, you guys have a pretty well established framework for hosting or conducting one of these data science projects. And then after that, we're going to talk about putting everything together in like a chatbot. So hopefully by the deliverable 3, you should have a chatbot all together. You can talk to it, it will say something back to you, and then that magical function that we talked about that give the scores, it's also attached, right? So this way, you're good to go, and then you have like a holistic, well-rounded application by the tip of your finger. So that said, hopefully this video explained all of the confusion spot and weak spot. And if there's still more questions, don't worry. That's why I'm here. Please feel free to email me. Please feel free to set up appointments. I'm always an email away. Thank you, and I'll see all you guys in the next video.